Have you ever wondered what truly matters when you reach your later years? When I moved into a nursing home at 81, I thought I knew what to expect. But after a year of living there, I realized that aging is full of surprises. Some good, some difficult, and some that completely change the way I see life. In this video, I will share 7 things I learned after a year in a nursing home, lessons that could help you, or someone you love, navigate aging with wisdom and grace. Some of these insights might confirm what you already suspect, while others might challenge the way you think about getting older. Either way, by the end of this video, you will walk away with a deeper understanding of what it really means to age well and maybe even see your future in a whole new light. Stay with me until the end, because the last lesson is the one that made the biggest impact on me, and it might change the way you approach your own aging journey forever. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you do so now and turn on the bell so you do not miss any of our upcoming videos on aging wisdom and living well. Now let's get started. Number 1. Loneliness is a choice, not a sentence. When I first moved into the nursing home, I expected to feel lonely. I had lost my spouse years ago. My children were busy with their own lives, and most of my old friends had either passed away or moved far away. I assumed loneliness was just part of getting older, something I would have to accept. But after a year of living here, I have learned something that changed my perspective completely. Loneliness is not a condition, it is a choice. I have seen 2 types of people in this place. There are those who sit in their rooms all day waiting for someone to visit, convinced that no one cares about them. And then there are those who walk down the hall, smile at others, start conversations, and make an effort to be part of something. The difference between these 2 groups is not their circumstances, it is their mindset. One woman I met, Margaret, taught me this lesson. She had no family nearby, no visitors, and yet she was one of the happiest people I had ever met. I asked her how she stayed so positive. She laughed and said, "I knock on doors, I sit at full tables, and I never wait for happiness to find me, I go looking for it." That stuck with me. So I tried it. Instead of staying in my room, I started saying hello to people in the hallway. I joined a card game even though I had not played in years. I asked people about their lives, their families, their stories, and something incredible happened. My world got bigger. The more I put myself out there, the more people responded. I was not just passing time anymore. I was building relationships. I learned that loneliness is not about being alone. It is about choosing to stay disconnected. There will always be opportunities to talk, to laugh, to connect, but only if we take them. If you find yourself feeling lonely, ask yourself, am I waiting for someone to come to me? Or am I taking the first step? Because the truth is, the people who wait often stay lonely, but the ones who reach out, they find companionship, purpose, and even joy. When I first arrived at the nursing home, I saw a familiar pattern. Residents who were once capable of doing things for themselves slowly stopped trying. A man named Richard, who had always been strong and self-sufficient, started asking for help with the smallest tasks, things he had done his entire life. At first it seemed harmless, but within months he became weaker, less confident, and more dependent on others. The truth is, when you stop using your abilities, you start losing them. I learned quickly that maintaining independence is an active choice. It is easier to let someone else bring you a cup of coffee than to get up and pour it yourself. It is easier to take the elevator than to walk a few extra steps. But every time you take the easy route, you give up a little more of your strength, your mobility, and your sense of self. And once you give it up, getting it back is nearly impossible. That is why I made a rule for myself. If I can do it, I will do it. Even if it takes me longer, even if it is uncomfortable, even if I feel like I do not need to. I take the stairs when I can. I dress myself every morning without assistance. I stand up and move, even when I do not feel like it. It is not about proving anything to anyone. It is about holding on to what I have for as long as I can. Aging does not take away our independence overnight. It happens in tiny moments, little decisions that seem unimportant at the time. But over weeks, months, and years, they add up. I have seen people give up their independence without even realizing it, simply because they did not fight to keep it. So, if you are still living on your own, do not let convenience steal your ability. Move, stretch, lift, stand. Whatever you can do, keep doing it. Because the moment you stop, you start sliding toward a place where you will need help for everything. And that is a place you do not want to be. If you are still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 2 below to let me know you are here. And if you have not subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Number 3. Health declines when routine disappears. When I first arrived at the nursing home, I noticed something strange. Some residents seemed sharp, engaged, and full of life, while others seemed to fade away, losing energy and interest in everything around them. At first, I thought it was just a matter of health. Some people were simply stronger than others. But over time, I realized the real difference was something else entirely. Routine. I met a man named George, a retired teacher in his late 80s. Every morning, like clockwork, he woke up at the same time, shaved, got dressed neatly, and took a short walk before breakfast. He had a set schedule for reading, socializing, and even exercise. He was sharp, alert, and had a presence about him. Then I met others who had no routine at all. They woke up whenever they felt like it, skipped meals, stayed in their rooms, and let the day pass them by. The difference in their mental and physical health was undeniable. I learned quickly that the body and mind need structure. Without it, everything starts to unravel. When we stop having reasons to get up, to move, to engage, our muscles weaken, our minds slow down, and our days blur together. I have seen it happen again and again. People who once thrived start to decline simply because they no longer have a reason to stay active. So I made a rule for myself. Every day must have a plan. Even if I do not feel like it, I get up, shower, and get dressed. I set times for meals, for reading, for a little movement. I make a point to step outside when I can, even if it is just for a few minutes. I talk to people at the same time each day, keeping those connections alive. It is not about keeping busy. It is about staying engaged with life. Aging is not just about the body growing old. It is about what we do with our days. Those who let go of structure often lose their spark, but those who create and stick to a routine, no matter how simple, stay sharper, stronger, and more alive. I have seen it with my own eyes. And I can tell you, if you want to stay independent, if you want to feel like yourself for as long as possible, build a routine and stick with it. It may seem small, but over time it makes all the difference. Number 4, your attitude shapes your experience. When I moved into the nursing home, I assumed that the happiest residents were the ones in the best health, the ones who could still walk easily, who had frequent visitors, who had no major medical problems, but I was wrong. Some of the healthiest people I met were miserable, constantly complaining, dwelling on what they had lost. Meanwhile, some of the happiest residents were the ones with the most challenges, people in wheelchairs, people with memory issues, people who had outlived their closest friends. What made the difference? Attitude. I met a woman named Eleanor, 86 years old, who had severe arthritis that made it difficult for her to move. She could have spent her days focusing on the pain, the limitations, the unfairness of it all. Instead, every morning she greeted people with a smile, asked how they were doing, and never missed a chance to share a kind word. She told me, "Happiness is not about what happens to you. It's about how you decide to see things." That stuck with me. Because I have also met people who had far fewer struggles than Eleanor, but were bitter, constantly dwelling on what they had lost, comparing their lives to what they used to be. The truth is, if you spend all your time focusing on what is gone, you will never enjoy what is still here. Aging brings changes. That is unavoidable. But what we choose to focus on, that is what shapes our experience. Every single day, I remind myself I can either focus on what I miss or I can focus on what I still have. I can either complain about what is hard, or I can be grateful for what is still possible. I can either let the past define me, or I can embrace what is left of the present. I have learned that happiness is not something that just happens. It is something we create, something we practice. And the people who age the best are not the ones with the best circumstances, but the ones with the best mindset. If you wake up every morning expecting things to be worse, they will be. But if you wake up choosing to find something good in the day, you will. It really is that simple. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 4 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Number 5, family visits are unpredictable, but friendships sustain you. When I first moved into the nursing home, I thought that family visits would be the highlight of my days. And at first they were. Seeing my children, my grandchildren catching up on their lives, it gave me something to look forward to. But as time went on, the visits became less frequent. Life got busy, schedules got complicated, and sometimes weeks would pass without a visit. At first it hurt. I found myself waiting, hoping, feeling disappointed when the phone did not ring. Then I noticed something. The people who spent all their time waiting for family visits were often the loneliest. But the ones who built friendships inside the nursing home, they always had someone to talk to, always had a reason to smile. That was when I realized family is important, but friendships are what keep you going. I met a man named Albert. He had a son who lived 2 hours away and only visited once every few months. But Albert never seemed sad or lonely. Every morning, he had coffee with a small group of friends. He played cards in the afternoon, shared meals with people he cared about, and always had someone to laugh with. One day I asked him how he managed to stay so positive, despite not seeing his son very often. He smiled and said, "I stopped counting the visits and started counting the people who were here every day. That changed everything for me. Instead of focusing on when my family would visit, I started focusing on the people around me. I made an effort to sit with different groups at meals, to check in on my neighbors, to join in on activities, even when I felt like staying in my room. And the more I did, the less lonely I felt. The truth is, our families love us, but they have their own lives, their own responsibilities, and as much as they care, they cannot always be there as often as we might want. That is not a reflection of their love. It is just life, but we can choose to let that make us feel forgotten, or we can choose to build connections right where we are. I have seen it again and again. People who sit and wait for family visits often feel disappointed, but those who put effort into making friends, into being part of something, into forming relationships with the people they see every day, they thrive. Because at the end of the day, love is not just about who is related to you. It is about who shows up, who cares, and who makes your world feel a little less lonely. And more often than not, those people are not the ones who share your blood, but the ones who share your days. Number 6, the past becomes more vivid, but the present still matters. One of the strangest things about getting older is how the past starts to feel more real than the present. I can remember details from my childhood with absolute clarity. The way my mother's kitchen smelled, the songs that played on the radio, the sound of my best friend's laughter when we were kids. But ask me what I had for lunch yesterday, and I might have to think for a moment. I have noticed this in others too. Conversations in the nursing home often drift toward the past. Stories of old jobs, young love, the way things used to be, and I understand why. The past is familiar, comforting. It is a place where we were strong, where we were needed, where life felt bigger. But there is a danger in spending too much time looking backward. It can make us forget that we are still here. I once met a man named Frank. He was 89, and he could tell stories about his younger days in stunning detail, but that was all he talked about, the past. He never joined activities, never asked anyone about their lives now, never seemed interested in the present moment. It was as if he had decided his life was already over, even though he was still very much alive. Then there was Helen. She was 84, and also loved reminiscing about her past, but she never let it stop her from living in the now. She was always curious, always trying new things. I remember her once saying, "I have more yesterdays than tomorrows, but that doesn't mean today doesn't count." That stuck with me, because the truth is, nostalgia is a gift. It reminds us of where we came from, of the lives we built, of the moments that shaped us. But it should never come at the cost of the present. We still have conversations to enjoy, meals to savor, people to connect with, and moments to be part of. Life may not look the way it once did, but it is still happening. And if we spend too much time in the past, we risk missing what is left of the present. So yes, tell your stories. Remember your best days. Smile at the memories that warm your heart. But do not forget to look around you, to stay engaged, to keep living. Because no matter how many years we have behind us, the time we have now still matters. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 6 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Number 7. Small pleasures make a big difference. As you get older, your world starts to shrink. The grand adventures, the big milestones, the career achievements, all those things that once defined your life become part of the past. What you are left with is the everyday moments, the simple routines, the small things that fill your time. And what I have learned after a year in a nursing home is that those small things matter more than you think. I have seen people find pure joy in the simplest pleasures. A warm cup of coffee in the morning, a favorite song playing in the background, the feeling of sunshine on their skin while sitting by a window. One man I know, Harold, 82 years old, lights up every time he gets his favorite butterscotch candy. He keeps a little stash in his drawer and always offers one to whoever stops by. It is a small thing, barely worth mentioning to most people. But to him it is a ritual that brings comfort, connection, and a little bit of happiness. I have learned to cherish these moments myself. There is something special about the first sip of hot tea in the morning, the sound of birds outside my window, the familiar voices of friends greeting me in the hallway. When life slows down, these tiny moments become the highlights of the day. And I have seen it. Those who embrace them, who savor them, who take time to appreciate the small joys around them, are the ones who remain the most content. On the other hand, I have also seen people who focus only on what they no longer have, the trips they can no longer take, the foods they can no longer eat, the things they can no longer do. And the more they focus on what is missing, the less they see what is still there. That is when bitterness creeps in, when days feel empty, when nothing seems to bring joy anymore. The truth is, happiness does not always come from the big things. Sometimes it is just a good meal, a kind conversation, a quiet moment of peace. And when you learn to appreciate those things, life becomes a little brighter, no matter where you are, no matter what stage of life you're in. So take a deep breath. Notice something small around you right now. A sound, a smell, a taste, a feeling that brings even the slightest bit of joy. Hold on to it, because in the end, it is not the big events that make life meaningful, but the small pleasures that make each day worth living. Final thoughts. After a year in a nursing home, I have learned that aging is not just about growing older. It is about how we choose to experience the years we have left. Independence fades if we let it, but if we stay active and engaged, we hold on to more than we think. Loneliness is not an unavoidable fate. It is a choice. And the more we reach out, the more connected we feel. Routine is not just a way to pass time, it is the foundation that keeps our bodies and minds strong. Attitude is everything. The happiest people I have met are not the ones with perfect health, but the ones who decide to focus on what they still have instead of what they have lost. Family visits may not always be frequent, but friendships can fill the gaps and bring steady companionship. The past will always be with us, but if we spend all our time looking back, we risk missing the moments that still remain. And in the end, it is the little things, the morning coffee, the laughter, the sunlight streaming through a window that bring the deepest sense of joy. If there is one thing I want you to take away from this, it is this: life does not end when things change. There is still room for connection, for growth, for happiness, if we are willing to embrace it. Thank you for joining us today. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned today and how you plan to use it in your life. Your thoughts are important to us, so do not hesitate to share them. Reading your comments gives us great motivation and encouragement. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.